We are in the hands of a polar vortex right now, but it's not going to slow down this guy, that being Randy Waples, who loved to drive when it was this cold outside. Jeff Bratt's always inside the studio, not brave enough to have these conditions. In all seriousness, it's got to be tough for the drivers here tonight, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, for sure. Drivers and horses, I mean, it is what it is,
Yep.
right? It's Canada, and this is the thing that we do. We've done this for eons, and we race on these nights. But just hope that the track, doesn't kind of turn on us like
Right.
it did on Saturday night. That's the big thing. If the track stays good, we should be good. Tomorrow could have been a real difficult day to race in. I think it's supposed to get even colder.
Yeah, it's supposed to warm up coming up on Thursday. It's going to be balmy, not really, but a lot better than what it's going to be here today nonetheless. So very much looking forward to the program here this evening. We have obviously all the staples that we're used to seeing. Race 1 will kick off the pick 5. We're going to have the pick 6. We've got the jackpot high 5 wager as well. So very much looking forward to that. I find... I don't know if you find this, but I find on the thoroughbred side of things that some horses struggle with allergies and stuff like that during the springtime and during the fall time. Do you find that some horses actually maybe get a little bit better during the wintertime because it's a little bit easier from an allergy point of view?
Yeah, for sure. There's always been that way, those standardbreds, right? You know what I mean? Like there's always, to me anyway, there's always been two seasons, the horses that race the best in the winter and the horses that race better in the heat. And a lot of it is due to those allergies, I mean, it's hard on horses, the allergies, the same as it is a person, going out there. But then when they get out in here, it's a little bit uncomfortable for them, but it's clean breathing to them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of them, this cold's not going to bother them in the least. Other ones, the cold will bother them a little.
Just like humans, right?
Same
some
thing.
people like the heat, some people like it being cold.
Right.
That's just the way it is.
Some people don't get cold too. You ever notice that?
I know.
You always have one or two friends, right, that can wear shorts in the wintertime. Like, I mean, please.
Yeah, or I have this one friend, it'll be like minus 50, and she'll be like, turn on the air conditioner. I'm like, what are you talking about?
How do people like that anyway?
It's like, it's freezing outside. And
when it's hot, I'm hot. And when it's cold, I'm cold.
It's crazy how it goes sometimes. Now, you haven't been involved in so many races throughout your racing career, but something happened on Saturday night. And as soon as it happened, I said, I'm going to show this on the show on Monday because I guarantee Randy has never been involved in this. Let's go to the Meadowlands for race number 2 on Saturday night, and we'll show you exactly what we mean. Here's Ken Workington.
Maybe 4 wide. At 3/4, Under Siege is Artspire, 124 and 4 into the stretch drive. And striking the front is Stone Cold Savage. Stone Cold Savage right there. Woodrow F call on the outside. A big trip for that one. Spirit of Truth with good late momentum. And Urban Renewal has pace in heavy traffic in deep stretch. Stone Cold Savage in front. Stone Cold Savage. It's tight. Stone Cold Savage. Or Woodrow F call.
I can tell you this, Mr. Bratt. Jason Bartlett makes Randy's watch list.
The old triple dead heats.
Unbelievable.
First time in Meadowlands history it has happened. I have never seen one happen myself until on Saturday night when I was scrolling through X, as they call it now, and they said it was, look at that.
Yeah.
Imagine
amazing.
there if you drove the one horse.
That's the one. That's the one that makes my watch list.
How'd your horse race? Oh, we lost by a head.
Yeah.
Finished 4th.
Finished 4th. Yeah, for sure. Step past the wire. I was in front.
Wow, that's crazy though, eh?
Yeah. We've had them up here.
You've had a triple dead heat up here?
We've had them up here before.
Yeah, I've never seen
Greenwood. I think the one time it was Reg Gassian, maybe Jerry Duford, and I can't remember the third one. Could have been Garth Gordon.
Wow.
Maybe. Yeah, but we have had them up here before. Triple dead heats. How cool is that?
It's such a racing oddity. You rarely see it. So one of the horses won at 82-1, but obviously the odds got cut dramatically because the triple dead heat. One of them was 9-1, one was 6-1. As a driver, when you are in a tight photo like that, are you kind of like, oh man, I don't really want to share the money? Or sometimes if you lose, you're like, oh, I'll take the dead heats.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes the wire doesn't come up fast enough. Sometimes the wire comes up, way too fast for you. But when you drive a whole lot, you can pretty well judge it. It sounds weird, but you really can pretty well judge. Even if you're getting beat this much, you can pretty well tell if you're not. But I will say the one time early in my career when things kind of started to kind of go good for me, I hit the wire at the same time as the driver. And I looked over at this other driver and I said to him, did you get it or did I? And he just, no, he said, you got it. He says, you got it. He said, you got me. And this is like a veteran, amazing driver. So I'm like, oh, great. So I head back to the winner's circle and guaranteed, his number comes
Yeah.
up. Now I got to do the slide back from the winner's circle.
Yeah.
And I always remembered as me and my groom are coming out of the winner's circle, Steve Condren and his groom are coming into the winner's circle, and Condren looks over at me. He says, "What were you doing? Keeping it warm for me?" And he's the one
You know what
that
that's
sent me
called?
back.
That's rookie initiation.
Yeah,
That's what that's called.
I think so. I'll always remember that.
That's
though.
a great story.
You got me, Stevie.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Great stuff there, though. Let's take a look at some stats and standings. Obviously, we had to miss a majority of the races on Saturday night, but one guy that had a tremendous week, but is not in action here tonight, is Trevor Henry. He did fantastic. Doug McNair, he did very, very well. And look at that, Billy Davis. He's making it onto the leaderboard, which is great to see.
Yeah, and look at the win percentage on Billy.
Yep.
19.2. He's winning that race anyway. Yeah, big. It's amazing. He was in Ontario for so long, and then it took him to go down to the States that people started to realize the talent. Now he's back here again, and he's showing what he can do.
I think he timed it perfect, too.
I do, too.
And you were actually telling a story earlier on about how you got into the Bob McIntosh stable, and it's somewhat similar this time of the year. Steve went down to Florida, and you got the call to drive some of Steve's horses over the wintertime, and that's how you got into the McIntosh.
That's how it actually happened, yeah. Steve was in Florida, and he needed somebody to babysit till he got back.
Shane Barrington, this is his time of the year, it seems like to me at least. Jody Cullen, she seems to be on this board all the time. And Dave Maneri had 4 winners last week as well. Yeah, his barn doing a lot of good things. Speaking of dead heats, I think we had a dead heat on the finale on Friday here at Woodbine Mohawk Park as well. And Kenny was that slow motion camera. I love that camera. It's like, especially when Luke, then the crew really, really slows it down. And the best thing is when you have a good crowd outside, is the groans sometimes. Because you're like, oh, we lost, or the joy, we won, because 99.9% of the time that gives you a pretty good gauge as to who's won the race.
Yeah, but do you remember back when they used to post the win photos?
Yep.
Right, and then you'd have that whole group of people come over, and even though you're looking at the win photo, and you can see that horse A, his nose is on the wire, and horse B fell. The guy that had bet horse B swears up and down that something's wrong with that line. It's got a curve to it. My horse got there first.
Well, that's how they got the term wire for the finish, because it hits the wire together. Because they used to have the photo finish guy would put the photo finish, the picture down like a line, like a zip line almost.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then they would grab it, and the judges would look at it down there and say who won it. Dan Lazelle's dad used to do that. The photo finish camera. Yeah.
I used to always think it was the greatest thing sitting in the grandstand at Green when you see that that thing coming over.
I remember they had the board with all the pictures on it for the entire night as well.
That's when they gather around. And
they manipulate the photo.
Exactly. You miss them old times.
Oh, it's great. It was great. Okay, let's do some handicapping here for tonight. Producer Luke's like, let's get to business. Race 1 on the program. We have a conditioned pace in here, a field of 10. Silver Beast was one that I was really gravitating towards initially when I did my handicapping, because I thought second start off the bench, the horse might be a little bit better. And then all of a sudden I shuffled the horse down to 4th in my selection. So I kind of changed my mind a couple of different times. Now the current favorite at 7-2 is not one that you and I have on top, that being Beyond Better, because the horse doesn't win all that often. You and I are going towards, maybe because it's the name, Acapulco Sunburn. We just want to warm up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe that's where we're thinking we'd like to be, Exactly. Getting a sunburn in Acapulco. Yeah, he was first up in that last start, Jeff. He had the 9-hole pushed out of there, got away 4th, then came first over, finished 3rd in there. I thought it was a really good effort. The start before in the 30 claimer, James drove him again. He spent some time on the outside of the track in the middle half. 3 wide around the last turn. Doug did end up getting to the front and finishing second in there, but it was a fast closing horse on the outside that picked him off, and that was Toronto. So I think that both times that he's raced in his last 2 starts, I thought he raced very, very well. I got to go with him, and I got Beyond Better in for second.
Yeah, that's a good spot probably for that horse. Every once in a while it can really roll effectively. Now, Sounds Good gets Travis Henry here tonight. Gets a little bit of class relief, though, here tonight, and post position help as well.
Definitely the post positions, right? 2 9-holes in a row. And none of them are really all that great to speak of. The 6-hole and the 5 holes are kind of nice, but still nothing inside the 5-hole for this guy. So, tonight he's got the 6-hole to work with again. He was in non-winners in 9,000 2 starts ago with the 9-hole. Just seemed like he went a bit of a following around. January the 11th, he comes back, 9-hole again. This time, they try to make something happen with him. They keep him on the outside, hoping for something to develop, but it never really did. They go down to the half in 55-3. So I mean, none of the flow was really moving forward. So I think he kind of got stuck back in there. Now he's got the 6-hole, and he's down what I would consider to be another class as well. So he's going to be tough in here.
Race 1 on the day to kick off the 10-race program. Looks like a good betting board right now. 7-2 favorite right now in the form of the 6. That being sounds good. Carmen Osceola's got a really busy night tonight. He's got a whole bunch of horses. He's got 2 racing in this particular event. Hestinator, and he also has Double Down Duke. Now we get the return of Jody Jameson here tonight. Jonathan Drury had his choice of Better Than Pride and Double Down Duke. Both are dropping from that 30,000 claiming handicap level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice 1-2, or not a 1-2 because Dez is training Better Than Pride. But Carmen's got a nice 1-2 in here. Even
Yes, he does.
Hestinator, I mean, he's never been worse than 4th.
Yep.
In his last starts, you know what I mean? So he's right on his game. Got the rail to work with in here. J.R. Plant getting along really, really well with him. Now, Double Down Duke, Jody's driving here. In my opinion, he kind of got bothered in that last start down the lane. Like, I know it shows him where he starts to lose a little bit of ground. I think it was more to the fact that he got bothered and JD had to snatch him up and, to avoid anything bad happening. So I don't necessarily think that Double Down Duke got a clean trip in his last start. So I'm going to throw him in for 3rd, Better Than Pride. JD gets along real good with this guy. And as Jeff was saying, it was his pick.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's kind of nice to go with the driver. Throwing him in for 2nd, Mock Impact. Throwing him in for 4th. Maybe I'm going a little bit light on him because, boy, oh boy, this horse races amazingly well. And he really, really races good for Corey Fuller, who's going to be training him tonight. Let's Go Jude is the route that I'm going to go. I'm going to use him as my beat the fave in here. Short field now. We got a scratch of the 3-horse down to a field of 6. Last week he had the 10-hole, made a little bit of a move out of there, but never really could get back into that race. So it was kind of a clean on the fence kind of a trip. Both starts before that, he tried to chop it, ended up with a 3rd and a 4th. I think that he's in a situation here tonight where after those chops and then the kind of a somewhat easy sort of start in his last start, I think he's going to be ready to go here tonight.
He's had brutal draws in 2 of his last 3 starts, too, so he gets the best draw here tonight.
Yeah, and then draws the outside in this class tonight.
Yeah. No, he's an outside. It's post 6, too, in the process as well. So, yeah, no, that I can see why you're gravitating towards that horse there in race number 2. If Mock Impact didn't have a bit of a still date, I might have had that horse a little bit higher on my tickets.
I agree. Boy, his form is just dead on right now.
It is. Race 3, a couple of scratches on the outside of the 8 and the 9, which means we're down to a field of 7 in this spot. Doug McNair had his choice of a whole bunch of horses in this race, and he's going to drive Pikachu Hanover. He actually beat Pikachu Hanover with Patriarch Hanover, who bounced back last time out. So now, you and I were racing back on January the 13th, and we worked together, and we were watching the race, and you said to me, boy, Pikachu Hanover finished good, and, you're right about that, and I just wonder if maybe, the fact that he doesn't have post 10 or post 9 here tonight, that might help out his chances yet again.
I think so, yeah. But he's sitting on a big effort because we're going to show that replay of that last start, and this is a good start. But even the one before, when he had the 10-hole, Billy just took him to the back, and at no point did he lose ground. He finished it off with 28-1. Start before that out of the 9-hole, he's a blast down the road, and he's a winner for Billy, So I like this start here now. He's going to pick up Dougie again tonight. Dougie knows him quite well, but you're going to see where Billy is 2nd over right now, and he's just starting to tip. Now, Dougie starts to move away from the field with Patriarch, and here comes Billy with Pikachu, and I'm telling you, like, this horse to me is very live, especially right here. He starts to put on some serious wheels, but Dougie still got some go up front too. And I think at this point, Billy knows that he's going to be 2nd best, and that's the best that he's going to be. His 1-wheel disc there, horse starts to move forward again, but he just looks like Dougie's kind of got the other horse wrapped up. But to me, he doesn't have to face Patriarch in here tonight. Picks up Dougie again. Yeah. Middle of the gate draw, a couple of scratches in here, short field. I think he's going to be very tough in here tonight.
Classy horse, too. Classy horse. I'm going towards Radiolab. I just think he's really good right now. Whether he's good enough to beat Pikachu, that's a legit question. I don't know. But, even last time, he finished 2nd against Locatelli. No shame in finishing 2nd to that one.
No, absolutely. And another one, and he win the start before that. He's had 2 starts in Carmen's barn, both of them being really, really good starts, and he's had a win and a 2nd out of it.
Just one quick question before we move on. What do you do with Phoenix in here, do you think? I mean, last time was in such a difficult race. I mean, that new rules, that's a tough horse you're racing against.
Yeah, Phoenix has been on good form like all last season. you can see that 111,000 banked away in 43 starts. I mean, just the 43 starts is enough to kind of impress you right there. It's a lot for a trotter on our circuit because it's a tough circuit to race on. I'm going to throw him in for second. 2 outside posts. You know, I think the last one, he showed good wheels on the end of it. He just didn't have any place to really apply it. You know, he was just too far back. He's got the middle of the gate to work with in here. To me, he's the one that I'm scared of the most is Phoenix. And simply because even though he's missed a little bit of time, the form is still dead on, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Good-looking trotters there in race number 3. They've got back class to them, and they all kind of get into this nice little condition here in race number 3. Let's start off the 4th of the day. I had a wonderful chat with Kyle Fellows when Vino Louis debuted here at Woodbine Mohawk Park, and I asked him what he thought. He said, honestly, I don't know. From all reports, the horse always trains great, but come afternoon or evening time, just doesn't show it. Well, guess what? Raced pretty good in the Fellows debut back on January the 10th. Do you think he's a repeat prospect here tonight?
I think that he is. Now, I can honestly tell you, I was going to go Call Me It on top, but he scratched.
Right.
But Vino was always going to be my second choice in here. So now I've inherited Vino, and I'm cool with that. I agree with you. I think that, you know, first start Kyle Fellows, and it was a really, really good one. You know, I don't see this class really being that much tougher than the last one. The only thing is he's just going to have to maybe face some saltier kind of horses, you know, those kinds, the Capitano Italianos and the Bayfield Beaches, you know, these old warriors that are dropping down into this class. It's always going to be tough, but I think that Vino Louis is going to be the horse to go with in here.
You know what? I've never guessed right on is Bayfield Beach. I never guessed right on that horse.
Yeah, maybe he's your Gigondis.
Yeah, I'm picking that horse on today's card of race, and I think I am at least. We've received a late scratch coming up in race 9, producer Luke, is that what you said? Race 9, number 6, So Not Cool, is now out. So that's one of the Fellows horses. So do make that notation there in the 9th race. I think So Not Cool said to Kyle, I'm 14. It's minus 1,000 out. I'm staying home.
Yeah.
And Kyle said, okay. So anyway, So Not Cool is now not going to...
and Doc Hennessy wouldn't be upset because if the horse does happen to win, that just means that if he would have won, he would have owed me a apple fritter. Now he's good.
There you go.
That's right. These veterinarians, they're tricky, man.
5th of the day. Good racing here. You know, the last time a bunch of these horses raced, it was a bit of a messy night on that January the 13th card. I thought Drebin hung in really, really tough. Lost to Crystal Baller at a big price on that day. You've got Hanson Sebastian in here. Frank's Angels, one that doesn't get all that great of a draw. But I wanted to ask you about Robertson D in here. For some of your old buddies in here, you got Zeron and Chris Christopher. Combined, they got about 10,000 stories together. Mm-hmm. And I just think back in a regular rotation here tonight, this horse is going to be dangerous here this evening.
I agree, yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate that we can't show you that replay because it's a good replay, but, you know, we had bad weather that night, so it's not you're not going to really be able to see a whole lot anyway, just a lot of blur out there, I would say. But, yeah, you know, December 16th, the last start, or his second last start, then January the 13th in that last one, and trust me, he was spot on good. He really, to me, he looked like he was wrapped up on the end of it there. He did need that start, a month off, but I think that he's going to be good to go with in here. The only thing that scares me a little bit is the rail, but he has had it a couple of times, and it hasn't really bothered him that much. I think he's going to be real tough in here. The one that scares me the most, even though I'm a big fan of Frank's Angel, and I got him in for second, the one that scares me the most is this 5 horse, because I got him down as a +1.
Yeah.
I watched him race last week, you know, and I just kind of thought to myself, you know, I think he needs one more. And if he doesn't need one more, I'm going to be in big trouble.
To me, he never looked comfortable last week.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
He's such a big horse, and I just wonder with the snow-covered track on that day if he just was unsure of his footing.
Yeah, to me, it just seemed like, I'm just going to say like one more.
Yeah.
It just seemed to me like he was just missing one more start. But if I'm wrong and he's good to go tonight, he is going to be so tough in here to beat because he loves the front end. He swells up when he is on. He's got a middle of the gate to work with. 2 scratches in this race. If he's good to go tonight and Travis rolls him on down the road, he's going to be really tough, even for Robertson to beat. But like I said, I watched it last week. In my opinion, he needs one more.
And you know what, too? We have to keep an eye on him because he thought he got a little bit washy 2 starts ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to keep an eye pre-race here tonight as well because if you get washed on a night like tonight, that is not a good sign.
No, you don't want to come out there sweated up tonight.
Let's take a look at race number 6. This is a conditioned trot in here, a field of 10. I changed my mind a bunch of times with this race. I'll tell you where I landed on a horse Randy, that's got no form at all right now, and this is the fixer. But what fixes a horse sometimes? You drop down to an easier spot, and maybe that's going to get the fixer on track. I realize I'm kind of swinging for the fence a little bit, but this race is just wide open to me.
It is a wide open race, but just to make you feel better, I got the fixer in for third. Excuse me. And I'm telling you, if you see below these lines when he was still racing here before he went to Flamborough, was he ever racing good? He was on my watch list every week. Boom, boom, boom. So you got one in good form.
Excellent.
You know, so I mean, I like him moving back over here. I like him moving back down in class. You know, I think he's going to be tough in here, but I'm going to go with a horse that wins a lot of races on our circuit when he's good to go, and that's Mr. Magic. I think he's trotting really, really good right now. We're going to get a chance to see this replay on this guy, and this is a bad night. He's got a bit of that fifth step to him, Mr. Magic. Doesn't got the, you know, what you would consider to be a really smooth kind of a gait, more of a, you know, he works at it a bit more. So this track to me would not be the best for his kind of gait, but yet he ends up coming up with a big effort anyway. I've been waiting to put him back up on top. I just really haven't seen him in a spot where I really liked him that much, but I do like him in here tonight with the middle of the gate, a good race into him last week, coming back on a good rotation. JD gets along fantastically well with him, so Mr. Magic is the way that I am going to go. You can see him just gets past now by wasting no time. The barefoot wasting no time, and you know, it looks like he's going to get picked off there again, but he stays tough, and even on the run out he still hasn't let that horse by. So I'm going to go Mr. Magic in this one, and I'm hoping that the track is just going to be a little bit more to his liking.
Degford had a good week last week, one with this one and then with another one he brought off a layoff as well. Chad was telling me that he's absolutely deadly coming off the bench.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So he's a pretty sharp horse person.
Very.
So,
he learned his lessons well, Uncle Pear.
Yeah, so wasting on time. Hopefully he can come right back into the Winners enclosure in there. The fixer going to be the top pick for me, and Mr. Magic off that good performance, finishing second. Poor fashion contender. Post 9 last time out against Tougher, now gets post 10 here.
Yeah,
too.
another
when
one.
you drop, you want to get a good draw, and they drop, and they get a terrible draw.
Yeah, like this Mass Hysteria, I got her in for fourth. You know, I'm just praying for the time that she moves down into a spot where I think that she can go. Because another one, I think that she is sitting so close to a big effort.
She got tortured last week.
Out of the 10 hole, and then draws the outside again.
I know.
Tough.
I know. Seventh race on the day. We'll start off the late pick 3 and the late pick 4. Actually, we have rolling pick 3s tonight, so this will be our second last pick 3 of the night. Field of 10 overall. And here is the aforementioned Chicondas. Now, I must admit, Randy, I kind of picked the horse because this is your
to rub it in my face. Yeah.
But this is also his level where he does win. He can't win when he goes for non-winners of 10, but for non-winners of 4, he should be there. But there is a lot of pace in this race. Now, Collector S was really disappointing to you and I last week. Buck Dancer raced well last time out. Zigzag made it onto your watch list last week.
Zigzag. Yeah, that's the route that I'm going to go on this one, too. And we do have a replay for him. Now, I didn't use him that first start on January the 6th, and boy, did he ever race good. Big wheels on the end of it, finishing third in there last quarter, 27-4. Then I watched him this week. I think I did have him in for a piece of it, like maybe second or third in there. But again, Colin gets him to the outside. He's a big horse. You know, it's going to take him a couple of steps probably to get that motor running the way that he wants, but he always is coming fast on the end of it, this big fella. And I like the way that he's trotting. You know, he doesn't wear a whole lot of equipment. To me, he's just a big horse that needs a few races underneath his belt before we start to see him at his very best. I mean, you know, and we're looking at a horse here, Jeff, with a mark of 52. 5 years ago, he took this mark of 52 and 350,000 made, 20 wins lifetime. Yeah. He knows his way around the track. I think he's good to go. Much better post to work with in here tonight, and Colin Kelly coming back on him as well. So a lot to like about this guy.
And there are no Locatellis to worry about, that which is huge because Locatelli was really, really good last week. Eighth race of the day. We have a couple with the trainer changes in here. We have a couple that are having different drivers than what they had last week. So a lot of changes here coming up in race number 8. This is a claiming handicap going for a purse of $12,000. My best bet of the night is in this spot, and this is Frowny's Miracle. Now, Frowny's Miracle, 2 starts ago against Tougher, raced terrific. I think last time out just got a little bit roughed up, and when Beast Tony's good in that class, tough horse to beat.
He is. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and this is a tough horse too, Frowny. really, really nice horse, and you're getting him when to me, his form is at his absolute best. I've never seen his form any better than what it is right now. I got him in for second. I'm looking to beat him. And where I'm going to go is the horse on the outside, Baron's Weapon. I know this is a big step up from him. He was so good last week. We're going to see that replay in the 12,000 claimer. You know, now he's in a 12 to 16, and because he's in for a bigger purse, he's going to have to do his work from the outside. But last week, you know, he had the 2-hole, got away at the back of the pack, and then puts on this huge rush on the end of it. Short field to work with. You know, I keep a watch list of, you know, horses that I like that stay on this watch list. In this race, it's a field of 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 horses made my watch list. But this one, I thought he just raced very, very well. I love the job that Billy Davis is doing with his horses right now. And, you know, comes out of a real good barn. This was first start, Shane Barrington. You know, one thing about Shane, a lot of times, the thing about Shane is when they start to win in bunches. So I'm going to go with the backstory, you know, the way that I see it on this guy, and I'm going to throw him up on top.
I think that's the exact box. It could be 8-7, 7-8. I think it's those two horses. If somebody else steps up, I'll be surprised in here. Although Race Credit had a good race last time out. Now moves to Kyle Fellows' barn, so I kind of don't mind that one's chances. And you've got Mock Art in Motion right there in the mix of things. Again, the other Barrington maybe might get you here in this spot.
Yeah, the Mock Art in Motion, in my opinion, he was a good locked in his last start. I know he went to the back. I know he finished his 7th, but trust me, there was more. Like, he was actually a locked in 7th that day. So I think he could be a pretty live drive for Felipe Houdon.
Let's get to the 9th on the day, and this will be the last trot on the program in here, and we're going to go for a purse of $12,000. We scratched the 6, we scratched the 9, so we're down to a field now of 8 to choose from in this spot. And you have Twinbee Archie and McCallum. They're both hoping that the drop down in class is going to be exactly what the doctor orders here tonight.
That's the route I'm going to. That's the way you went?
Yeah, I went 3-2 here in this spot. I actually put Fly Beyond as well in my selections in here, just trying to find a bit of a price in here, but I went 3-2-4.
Yeah, okay. Well, I go 3-4. The Twinbee Archie, I don't really think we need to show you that replay. You can look down on his lines. 3 starts back. He raced here in non-winners of 4,000, which is actually a tougher class than what he's going to see in here tonight. And he was the easiest of winners for Tyler Borth. I mean, really, really looked good. Then he goes over to Flamborough and puts up a real nice effort there, finishing 3rd in their preferred, in against a horse like Tuscan Prince, pretty nice horse that we've seen coming out of the Determination stable. Then his next start, they left a little bit with him back over here, but up a few classes. And they left a little bit with him. He got a good trip out of it, but just maybe didn't have the wheels on the end of it like he had his last start here where he was a winner. But I really like him, so he's the route that I'm going to go up on top. But I want to show you this McCallum, because to me this was a bit of a troubled trip for him as well. This is a horse been a little bit shy on wins since he's come back. But he's been in a couple of places where it looked like he was going to capitalize, but it always seemed like there's somebody that maybe gets the job done. But this is going to set him up really, really good, I think. I think Scotty did a real good job keeping this guy. Now, you can see him here. Scotty's looking to the side. You know what I mean? He's not tapping, looking to move him, that way. He's looking for room. He finally finds it in here. Now all it's going to depend down to it, is he going to do anything about it? This is that same replay we showed you. Patriarch, Pikachu on the outside. Is he going to do anything with it? And he does. He does start to move forward a little bit. So I'm thinking that he's going to be a little bit tougher in here. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a 3-4, 2-3-4 kind of an exact.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that's a great replay with McCallum. I think that's the case of McCallum raced his race, but the company was just too tough.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And because he's trying at the end of that mile, but he can't make up a lot of ground on there. And, Scotty's made the most of his opportunities here. What do you do with the Geek Anion horse in this spot? I guess we'll have to see what type of approach he takes, because as of late, since coming from Riedel, they brought this horse from way off the pace in consecutive efforts.
I think that they'll still keep going that route myself. I know he does show a little bit of leaving at Riedel. Maybe with the scratch of So Not Cool, he will go forward in here. But I'm thinking that McCallum's going to probably blast out of there. And I actually wouldn't be a little bit surprised, too, if Stevie Houdon's horse is getting off on the right foot. He might come out of there with him as well. So I got Seal Blue in for fourth. I like the way that he's been racing for Guy. Guy had a nice win here the other night with Hurricane Cheyenne.
Won by 10 or something.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, it did. So Seal Blue, I'm going to throw him in as a piece of it, but I kind of go with the fact that I think that they'll probably try to race him much the same as what they have been racing him.
Let's get to the 10th now on the day, and I thought I was such a wise guy with my pick in this race. I said, okay, Beast only won last time out, but Rye probably needed the last start. I think it's a lateral move going from McNair to Fellows. But now Rye's going to be the overwhelming favorite, you would think, now with the scratch with Beastoni.
Yeah, I would have to say, I had him on top. So I had Beastoni in for second. I had this guy up on top, and I just love the way that he races first start for Kyle Fellows. And he's been up here before and always raced very, very well. So we know what we're dealing with this kind of horse. He fits with these so well. But there are a couple horses in here that are bringing good form into it. Beastoni, he's going to be scratched, so you can take him off the plate. But Tangle Sealster has had good wheels on the end of it in his starts so far. Instantaneous, racing very, very well for Herb Hall, and he already moved from the 10 hole on his last start down into the 8 hole now with the scratch at Beastoni. He's going to be coming out of the 7 position, so that should keep him a little bit closer for that big brush that he's got on the end of it. Self-Made, I got him in as a piece of it too. The one that I didn't use, and I probably should have, but I didn't, was Overthinking off of that big win, because we had been using him and it just didn't seem like things were working. And I don't remember if it was you or Chad had him on top in his last.
It's the Rosie off angle.
There you go. It was the Chad angle. And anyway, to me, this was a completely different horse in his last start, that fellow. So did we show the replay of Rye, Luke? Okay, well, let's take a look at this Rye horse. Who
Boy,
I do
he
have
raced
up
good on this
top.
night.
Yeah, and let's take a little shot at him.
Because remember, there was an inquiry in this race, too. They looked at it a little bit late. They thought that maybe Trevor came out a little bit.
Yeah, it was kind of down near the wire, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so here we go. We got Beastoni up on top, and we got Rye in the 2 hole. And, he gets close to beating him. But Beastoni is just a really, really nice horse, and his form is just spot on right now. Shane Barrington has him racing amazingly well. He's not going to be with us here tonight. He was going to be a live drive for Billy Davis to pick up. But at this point, I kind of thought that maybe Rye was going to be able to get to him. But he took a little bit of a dash in right at the last second there, and Dougie had to check him just enough to kind of get him beat. But he needed that start. He'd missed a few weeks. First start in the Kyle Fellows' barn. I can only see him getting better off of that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And he doesn't have to face the one that he couldn't beat.
Exactly. And he might have beat him tonight anyways. He might have been able to turn the tables on him, but don't have to worry about him now, which is even better. So I think Rye is going to be a single for a lot of people there. And the nightcap coming up in race number 10 on the day. Plays of the night. You ask and you shall receive. And Mr. Waples, let's see. You're going in a sequence, or you were going in a sequence of races. 2, 3, 5, but unfortunately, look how dapper you look in that photo. Holy smokes, you look great. Okay, so let's start off with, no, you don't.
Okay, so my race number 2 is going to be my Beat the Fave. That's going to be Let's Go Jude for Dougie McNair. Race number 3, All In, Pikachu Hanover, Dougie McNair. Waples Watch, race 5, Robertson D with Chris Jr. And Worth a Look is going to be Zigzag with Colin Kelly in race number 7.
Okay, so that's pretty good in there. My rebound horse.
Now that's the guy that looks good in a suit.
My rebound horse is Robertson D. My upsetter is the Fixer. My all-in play is going to be Frowny's Miracle. And my opportunist, because when a key horse scratches in your race, you have to take advantage of it. And I think Rye is going to be an opportunist coming up in race number 10 on the program a little bit later on today.
I like how you got that. Opportunist.
Opportunist. That's what we do. Garnet Barnsdale, did he ever have to sweat out that Bills game yesterday? So he's playing with house money here today. He likes Flying Art. We got Jill Zan Paquette with Double Down Duke, and Robert Reed Jr., his spot play of the day. It's going to be Frowny's Miracle. So those are the plays of the day. On a night like tonight, kind of drafting trip help you out, or is it kind of independent? Is it a horse per horse type of thing, just who handles the conditions on a night like tonight?
Yeah, basically, yeah, who's going to handle the conditions? I always looked at it as I never wanted to show them the win twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to go hard out of there. If the wind was in their face, go hard out of there and then have to show it to them again at the head of the lane. It was never my kind of thing. I always kind of tried to show it to them once and, try to save that energy and go once. So Maybe there'll be a track bias tonight. Maybe front end's going to hold up. Maybe it'll be the ones that are coming from off the pace. But you're going to know right away within the first couple of races, if there is some kind of a track bias. But that was my big thing. I just did not like watching them or putting them through the wind twice and then wondering why they're maybe a little dead at the end.
And naturally, you're going to see some slower times probably tonight with it being so
say.
cold out, and that's just the way it goes. It's tough on a night like tonight, and as Chad said, we'll probably have shortened parades and everything like that this evening too.
Yeah. Good thing Ron Waples is in here. We'd be going out in 10 minutes, no gloves and no earmuffs.
No, the paper towel, the napkins.
Yes,
Sorry,
the napkins. The napkins. Yes.
That's a great story. I love that story. You told it again with Elisa the other night. I think it was Elisa that you told the story with, that your dad did that. You could tell it's cold when the old napkins come out.
Yeah, the napkins come out, and you knew it was really cold at Greenwood that day.
I still remember like it was yesterday. I went down to Greenwood one day, and I loved presidential ball. And your dad drove them. I think it might have been like a really cheap steak or an overnight race.
I think it was the Burlington.
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah.
And he won, and I was so happy that day. I got to go home, and I was really happy that presidential ball.
You know what my father would do? No word of a lie. I'm not trying to get off on a tangent, but this is how tough this man was. He would go out at 6 o'clock in the morning at Greenwood after winning 4 or 5 races the night before. He'd be one of the first guys on the track. So let's say between 6 and 6:30, when it was at its absolute coldest and it's not light out yet. The lights would be on the racetrack, but it was still dark out, and he'd have no gloves on and no earmuffs. So he'd go out and he'd go with that first horse, and then he'd come in and he'd go right to the water tap and start washing his hands with cold water. I mean, I'll tell you something there. If you've ever had frozen hands and then when they start to thaw, you are like inches away from throwing up your lunch. And this man could get off the track, put his hands under cold water, wash them with it, dry them, and then jump right on the next horse and go right back out again. Oh,
crazy. Meanwhile, you're at the Tulip having your breakfast or your dinner.
What's that?
The Tulip. Remember the place, the Tulip?
The Tulip, yeah, for sure. That was
I don't know if it's still there or not. But
no, it's not.
Oh, it's not. Oh, that's too bad.
Or Diamonds.
Oh,
neither one of them are there. It was like the Tulip, I think, was originally Diamonds, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then they separated or whatever, but no, they're not there. What else was there? The OP.
Yeah.
The hitching post.
The characters you would see at Greenwood. Those are the days.
It was a lot of fun there.
A couple characters on the show with you here tonight. As we're 2 minutes away from post time, we'll get you all set for the opener coming up momentarily. Best of luck on a Monday from Woodbine Mohawk Park.